When you see a miracle like that, how can you deny the existence of the gods? And yet, there are some that do. There was a man called Erysichthon who scorned the gods and declined to sacrifice on their altars and do them homage. Nothing was sacred to him. He only cared for the usefulness of things. One day, he found himself in a grove sacred to Ceres.
Cut it down.
That tree is centuries old.
We need the wood. Cut it down.
This is a sacred grove, and this tree is beloved by Ceres.
It's only a tree, but say it was the goddess herself, I'd cut it down just the same.
Sir, please.
Get off me, you pious son of a bitch.
And he tore the tree down.
Sir,
Who's that?
I am the tree itself speaking. My pangs of death are eased by one thing.
And what might that be?
That you will never get away with this.
Oh, now I'm really frightened.
But the goddess Ceres heard the cry of her tree, and her mind immediately began to move upon torments that she might inflict.
Oriad,
Yes?
there is a place in far-off Scythia. Nothing grows there. No wheat, no grass, no trees. There you will find huddling together cold, fear, and gaunt hunger. Tell hunger I command her to establish a home for herself in this brute's belly. I give him to her as a toy.
I will.
I would go myself, but it is forbidden for hunger and me to ever meet.
Oriad flew off to the Caucasus, a bleak and nightmarish region. There, in a field of stones, crouched Hunger, pulling from between the rocks with her teeth and filthy fingernails some tiny bits of moss. Her hair hung down in lank and matted locks. Her eyes were sunken and circled. Her lips were slack and cracked.
Hunger? Ceres commands, or rather, permits you to go to
Yes?
Erysichthon and never leave him until he's finished.
Gladly.
Hunger crawled through the air to the house of the victim. As she flew overhead, fields withered and people starved. The birds scattered from her path, too weak to fly. It is night when she arrives at Erysichthon's home and curdles through the halls until she finds him sleeping in his room. She wraps cadaverous arms around him in an embrace as strong as love, but quite the opposite of love. She breathes her spirit into his spirit, and he begins to dream.
Pastries.
Pastry.
Ah. Cheese.
Cheese.
Grape.
Grapes.
He wakes.
Bring me something to eat. Oh, anything. I'm starving.
But he can't wait to be served. He begins to eat everything in sight, meal after meal after meal, but he can't shake this hunger.
More. I need more.
Baked shrimp and marshmallows, salami and ice cream, liver and donuts. Everything in every possible combination. Even as he eats, he is planning other menus and complaining of his hunger. As the ocean ingests the water from the rivers of the world, but still is never filled and remains thirsty and guzzles more and more forever, so he calls out for more.
It isn't enough. It isn't enough.
His gorging empties the larder and storerooms, the warehouses and barns of the city. His hunger is unabated. What is left to sell?
Mother.
My son!
Come with me.
Now this part is true, though you may not believe it. His hunger led him to sell his poor, darling mother.
She doesn't look strong.
She is. We've had her forever.
I can't give you much.
Whatever. Just give it to me.
All right then.
With the few coins he received, he ran home to eat. Riding in a boat behind her new master, Erisichthon's mother leaned over the hull and prayed to someone she once knew.
Poseidon, if you remember me, come and save me now.
From the briny deep, Poseidon heard her prayer, pulled her into the water, and changed her back into the little girl who used to play along his shores. The salty water licked the years away, and she emerged, the one who gave him praise in childhood, shouting as she ran among the waves. This is the kind of sweet, unbidden praise the gods adore and do not forget.
Hey! Hey, you little girl, listen up! Where's the old woman who was here a moment ago? Did she jump overboard and swim up to shore?
Sir, I swear by the god of the sea that no one except myself has come to this shore. I swear it.
To this day, at every hour, somewhere in the world, you can still catch a glimpse of that child playing by the shore. But let us return to our king. It was not enough. The money she earned for him was not enough for his needs. The emptiness within him was unappeasable. You've met such men yourself, I'm sure.
I need more. I must have more.
The godless are always hungry.
More.
Always yelling at waitresses.
I want more.
There can only be one end to such a man. He will destroy himself.
You've heard of Orpheus, the greatest musician of all time, and his bride, Eurydice. Theirs was the unluckiest of wedding days. Orpheus and Eurydice, number 1, Ovid AD 8. Orpheus, the widower bridegroom, mourned her in the upper world, but his grief was limitless, inconsolable. Desperate, he left the warmth and sweetness of our air. He dared descend to the river Styx and cross it to the underworld. Through that dim domain with all its buried, shimmering ghosts, he passed until he arrived at its melancholy heart. He found its king lying with Persephone. He knelt before them, drowning in his grief.
I don't know what power love has down here, but I've heard that he has some, for he's brought you two together. If that is true, that passion moved you once, then listen to me. I have tried to master this grief, and I can't. I understand we all come here in the end. In the ripeness of her years, Eurydice will soon enough be your citizen. I am asking for a loan, not a gift. If you deny me, this is certain. I want you to keep me here as well.
As Orpheus spoke, the phantoms began to weep. Tantalus was no longer thirsty, and Sisyphus sat on his rock to listen.
Orpheus, turn around. Eurydice, your song has moved us. You may have her on one condition. As you ascend and leave this place, she will not walk beside you. She will be following. You must not, until you pass our gates, turn around to look at her. If you look before you reach the sunlight, she is ours, forever.
I understand.
Hermes will accompany you. Remember, hesitation or doubt, and our gift must be returned. A simple enough condition.
It ought to have been. The singer led the way, ascending the sloping path through the murk. A long way they traveled, almost all the way, but you know what happened? Concerned for her, or not quite believing that it wasn't cruel delusion, a dream, or a mirage, he turned. That was his last sight of her, but he saw it again and again. Is this a story of love and how it always goes away? Is this a story of how time can only move in one direction?
Orpheus and Eurydice, Part 2. Rainer Maria Rilke, AD 1908. But looking back would ruin his entire work so close to completion. A woman so loved that from one lyre there came more lament than all lamenting women, that a whole world of lament arose in which all of nature reappeared. Forest and valley, road and village, field and stream animal. Around this lament world, around the other earth,
A sun revolved, and a silent star filled heaven, the lament heaven, with its own disfigured stars. So greatly was she loved.
But now she walked behind the graceful god, her steps constricted by the trailing grave clothes.
Uncertain, gentle, and without impatience. And when abruptly the god put out his hand to stop her, sang with sorrow in his voice,
He has turned around.
she could not understand, and softly answered,
Who? Far away. Dark before the shining exit gates. Someone or other stood whose features were unrecognizable.
He stood and saw How on the strip of road among the meadow, with a mournful look. The god of messages silently turned to follow the small figure, already walking back along the path, her steps constricted by the trailing grave clothes.
uncertain, gentle, and without impatience.